Good morning, my friends. Well, today this is a very complicated subject, as you see in the title. We are going to look at how Trump is actually attacking Social Security quietly, without saying a lot, and feeding on the hate that a lot of people have for immigrants. Fear and hate, we'll say, because some people are just afraid. Oh my God, what do they have? They have goodies or whatever. But the problem is this: I was looking into AI and I was looking at my finances and how I was going to be able to deal with my future. And at some point, they told me, well, because remember, they've been talking about giving the Democrats want to give Social Security $200 more uh, in the long run. But see, AI Genesis told me that Uh, if that happens, that's going to deplete Social Security by 2033. Now we're in 2026. And I asked, hey, wait a minute. I want to understand how Social Security is funded. I mean, I paid for it my whole life. Now, when it comes time to collect, I'm told, like, oh, well, you know what? We might not have enough money for you, which means, like, hey, wait a minute. Now, this is going to create a massive poverty and mortality pandemic. So I told her, hey, well, explain to me how this works. I really need to understand the nitty gritty. And it told me, I'm going to tell you what it told me, right? This is a very common and understandable frustration. We're told that we have a guaranteed benefit for 40 years, and then we're told that, oh, we're going to run out. It feels like a scam, doesn't it? However, the reality is less about corruption and more about a math problem that has been ignored for decades. Here's the breakdown of what actually is happening to our money and stripped of any political spins of Democrats or Republicans. Okay, I mentioned, hey, so somebody's taking my money. There's some commingling of funds, and it said, yeah, well, that's the most common myth. But the reality is actually more boring and in many ways more frustrating. There is no lockbox, there is no social security, doesn't have a savings account where our dollars are sitting in a vault waiting for me. It has always been a pay as you go system. The money we paid in 1995 didn't go into an account for me or you. It went immediately to pay for my grandmother or your grandmother's check in 1995. The IOU system, for decades, we collected more in taxes than we paid out in benefits. Uh, so the government didn't hide the extra money, they borrowed it. The Social Security Trust Fund bought U.S. Treasury bonds. That means the general government spent the cash on wars, roads, tax cuts, etc. Tax cuts, remember? Tax cuts. That's part of where the Social Security money is going to. Now, the trust fund holds trillions of dollars in IOUs from the Treasury. Now, is this theft? Well, technically, no. It's the same as if you bought a savings bond, the government owes that money back to Social Security with interest. The problem is not that the money is gone. The problem is that to pay it back, the government now has to raise taxes or borrow more from the public. The real problem, and this is the Ponzi math, Social Security works perfectly as long as there are many workers at the bottom of the pyramid, paying for the few retirees at the top. The reason it is failing now is not corruption, it's demographics. The 1960, we had not 5.1 workers paying taxes for every one retiree. In 2024, there are roughly 2.7 workers for every one retiree. In 2035, it is projected to drop to 2.1 workers for every one retiree. We simply do not have enough young people working to pay the full promised benefits for the massive baby boomer generation. Now, what happens in 2033? The most important part of financial planning, when the news say Social Security will run out of money in 2033, this is false. What runs out is the surplus, the savings account of treasury bonds. What remains is the ongoing tax revenue. Even if the account is down to zero, millions of workers are still paying payroll taxes every month. We hope they will be. The consequences are that if Congress does absolutely nothing, which is unlikely, but then again, you know, the system will be able to pay 77 to 80% of our promised benefits from the income taxes alone. Uh, so instead of like $2,000, we'd be getting 1,600. That's a $400 decrease. Now, the fairness reality check. You mentioned it before. I paid for it, right? While this feels true, the uncomfortable data shows that most Americans, especially those with average incomes, will actually receive more in lifetime benefits than they paid into taxes, especially when you count Medicare. Why? Because people now live much longer than in 1935. We're likely to collect checks 20 years plus, often drawing more value than the inflation adjusted total of what we paid. Now, listen to what I'm going to tell you, okay? We're not going to lose the check. Politics makes it impossible for Congress to cut senior benefits by 20%. They will likely raise taxes on high earners or raise the retirement age for younger people to fill the gap. You see that? Your children will have to work until they're 70, okay, in order to pay for your retirement. You get it? In order to maintain the retirement system going, which is a bunch of crap, if you ask me. Now, uh, the bad news, the system is tighter than it used to be, and the profit you expected from your lifetime of taxes will likely be lower than previous generations received. So, okay, we're not going to go down to zero, but what is actually happening? And this is where you will see, finally, Trump's attack on Social Security. Why? Because there are, or there were, millions of immigrants who were paying into that Social Security. Okay. And the more immigrants you have, the more people you have paying into that Social Security. But now, based on fear of whatever, because it's like this fear of criminals is baloney. It's just that they just want to get rid of the brown people so that the Republicans can stay in power a lot longer. This is uh, this is going to create, and this is the thing: racism costs money because the more people we have working, okay, the more people that are going to be paying into the Social Security. Okay, the problem is that we don't have enough judges. We have only 700 immigration judges to work on right now, maybe 10 million immigrants. Okay, we need more. Because why? Because see, they're looking at, oh, now women have to have children. And when is that actually going to become a reality? We need more people in this country in order to sustain Social Security, to sustain a decent level of living for people when they retire. If we do not maintain enough of a workforce, then we are going to have to force the billionaires and the multimillionaires to pay a significant amount into this in order to be able to sustain Social Security, or else we're going to have a bunch of retirees that are just going to go into poverty and they're going to be losing their lives because there's not enough Medicare or Medicaid for them. So this is a time where we have to understand and realize that Trump is attacking just about everything in our country. And one of the biggest things is the Social Security safety net. By getting rid of people who actually pay taxes, because millionaires and multimillionaires, God save them. We're going to take that. So taking like giving tax breaks to the multimillionaires and getting rid of the immigrants who are paying into the Social Security tax system, who's going to support the older generation? We're supposed to live in poverty, in homeless, in cardboard boxes. What does he expect? He is attacking the older generation. It is an attack upon the elderly, and he's using the breaks for the multimillionaires and getting rid of a workforce who would actually support our elderly generation. So put your thinking hats on and see what damage this guy is doing.